The SEC is bad at football. No, don't say that. You're just a Big 12 guy who's ticked off. No. Here's what the almighty SEC has done. This tweet from Rob Donaldson. Listen to this. Number 3, Texas will finish the season with 0 wins over ranked opponents. Riddle me that. Explain that to me, please. It gets worse. It continues. Number 7, Alabama, blown out by unranked Oklahoma, an Oklahoma team that has been porous this year. Bama at 3 losses at 13 in the AP poll may still get into the college football playoff. How? Because even their resume doesn't stack up too much when you look at the fact the SEC has been so porous. That's continued. Number 9, Ole Miss lost to Florida. They're unranked. They're going to fire their coach at some point. Billy Napier's not the answer. He wasn't the answer for Florida fans 3 weeks ago. Florida is not very good at football. Spark with a young quarterback? Sure. Enough to be the number 9 team in the country? No. Fraudulent. How about number 10, Georgia? Struggled with UMass. Do you understand? I get notifications from CBS or ESPN. Close game alert. Turn this game on. When I get an alert that Georgia and UMass, through 3 quarters of football, are still going toe-to-toe, how bad that is for your conference. UMass is putrid at football, has been putrid at football, and your big bad juggernaut, the number 10 team in the country, an SEC staple, Georgia, loses to them. Tennessee, what I don't get about the SEC is, hey, these are the 2 weeks where we're going to play Mercer, Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech. We're going to throw out a couple of games against, say, UMass, and Tennessee plays UTEP. The same Tennessee that lost to porous Arkansas. Oh, the SEC is cannibalizing itself. There are no dominant teams in the conference. Nobody has risen up in the SEC as this powerhouse world beater. Oh, my goodness, that's the SEC of old. And it's not like it's just they're beating up on each other because they're all so good. No. We saw Arkansas, who lost to Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State's really, really bad, by the way, beat Tennessee. And I say this all the time. I'll say it again. It's the number 1 point to be made here. Transitive property doesn't work. Just because you beat somebody doesn't mean you beat somebody. But this conference has teams like number 15 Texas A&M losing to Auburn. The Big 12 is not alone in parity. It's not alone in cannibalization. The only reason I'm not bringing the Big 10 up in this is because you ask the Sagarin ratings. The SEC is the number 1 conference in football. Big 12 is number 2. Why? Because a vast majority of the Big 10 is not only, listen to this, is not only irrelevant, but also incompetent on a football field. That's what you bring to the water cooler. Well, maybe the Big Ten's just the best conference. No. Outside of like 4 teams, everyone else is not only bad. They're not only bad, like non-competitive. They don't have a brand to stick out in college football. No one is registering Maryland. So the only thing Maryland could do, no one's registering right now Northwestern. The only thing Northwestern could do or Purdue could do is beat a team at the top of the conference, and they're not doing that. Whereas in the Big 12, that's what's happening. Whereas in the SEC, that's what's happening. Maybe the SEC is just a bunch of good college football teams, and they're overrated on the whole. Maybe the SEC is a bunch of competent college football teams that are a whole lot more even than we give them credit for. Riddle me this. Let's pick a top-of-the-line Big 12 team like Colorado, 8-3 Colorado. Let me ask you this. Let me go through a schedule here, a mock schedule, and see if you think they'd win, how many games they'd win. They'd play Colorado State. They already beat them, so obviously they'd win that. Michigan, that's a win. Michigan stinks because I can't win a game stinks. UTSA, okay, give me something hard. UL Monroe, that's a win too. How about Colorado against Mississippi State? They blow the doors off of them. Colorado against Oklahoma, that's going to be a Colorado win. Colorado against Georgia. You know what? Fine. I'll reason with you during this silly game. Colorado loses to Georgia. How about Colorado and Vanderbilt? No, yeah, horses are in the stable. Colorado does beat Vanderbilt. Florida? Sorry. Arkansas, Kentucky, maybe. No, Colorado's favored in all of those games. For sure. Yeah, that's Texas's schedule. That's just the Texas schedule. Same Texas that beat Vanderbilt 27-24, baby. Yeah, struggled with Arkansas. Yeah. Colorado takes that schedule, the SEC schedule. BYU takes that schedule. Iowa State takes that schedule, and they run it. We don't get breaks in the Big 12 anymore. There's not like, we're playing Cincinnati this week, we can slack off. No. They've got a first-round draft pick on defense. That's a legitimate Cincinnati team any given week. Any given week. Some weeks they suck, yeah. But any given week, they show up and become a formidable opponent, and then you have to go out and do it again next week against Iowa State, and then again the next week against Kansas State, and again the next week against a top 10 defense in Utah. Do they have the wins? No. They have the analytics. They have the metrics that show they're a very good football team. The SEC. Rob Donaldson continues, and I like this. It's time for people with horribly outdated opinions to reflect on the modern day SEC. The conference's optics would only be worse if they actually played a 9-game conference schedule like every other power conference. The hypothetical champions of the universe, the SEC. They play 8 games in conference so they can add more Mercers, more Abilene Christians. And I get it. We play those at the beginning of the season, but then we wake up in week 11 and Alabama is taking on mighty South Alabama. Further on the Texas schedule, this from Gamecock Kyle. Who can you name, just a couple of teams off the top of your head, who have played at least 2 SEC teams with a record above 500 in conference play? A team that's played, all you have to do is play 2 SEC teams, just 2, that have a winning record in conference play. Because Texas hasn't. UMass has. UMass has played 2 SEC teams with a winning record in the Southeastern Conference. Texas does not fit in that category. Do you understand how bad of a mark that is on that conference that decides to play no one? The Big 12. This is great too. Stuart Mandel. 3 top 15 SEC teams went on the road Saturday. 1 loss to a 5-5 team. 1 loss to a 5-5 team. 1 loss to a 4-6 team. But this is the big, mighty, bad boys of college football. Fear me. No. No, I'm going to go in the comments. I disagree with this guy. Sweet. I didn't give you my opinion, really. Like maybe it's subjective, but I just kind of read like scores and statements. Possibly a bit of it's opinionated, but I just gave you a really good rundown, whether you wanted to listen to it or not, because the SEC fans have their earmuffs on. La, 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 la. Don't tell me my conference isn't great. I just gave it to you. So the Big 12 is only going to get 1 college football playoff team in because it's down there. It's the Big 12. The SEC keeps losing to teams that suck. And it's not like Kansas isn't getting blown out one week and then beating somebody the next. They are on a hot streak and just mowing through people. Auburn is getting blown out by people and then winning games like they won against Texas A&M this week. Makes no sense. Coming up, every Big 12 title scenario left. There are 256 of them on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best because there is a concert festival coming up in Whitefish, Montana called Under the Sky. And I want cheap tickets, so I said, boop, 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 Game Time, can I get those? And they said, yeah. We have the lowest price guaranteed, or 110% of the difference will be credited to you. And with Game Time ticket coverage, though that festival to see Tyler Childers in Montana is in July, they say your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege to get $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Take yourself to join me under the big sky in Montana, seeing Tyler Childers thanks to cheap tickets from Game Time. What time is it? Game Time. Visit Game Time. Do it today.